Hello to you cinephiles, welcome to the FILMSTRIP channel where I discover for you the list of 152 masterpieces of cinema according to the critics firm Mediafilm. To explore Mediafilm, go check out their website even though it's all in French, to which I have put the link in the description. I've also put a link to the same list on my Mubi account, on which the titles are in English. If you have not yet seen the beginning of my series, be sure to check out the first two videos about the birth of a nation and about intolerance. Here is now the third and last David Wark Griffith directed film on the list, released in 1919. Here is Broken Blossoms. The movie begins in a small town in China where our protagonist, Cheng Huan, is learning of the noble Buddhist teachings. Outside of the temple, he intervenes in a quarrel between American soldiers. He attempts to settle the problem peacefully, but is incapable of reasoning the Westerners who continue to fight. Cheng is hurt in the scuffle. He decides to leave China in direction of London, having as a purpose to spread the peaceful message of the Buddha throughout the world. Faced with the harsh reality of the English capital, his life ultimately boils down to smoking opium and owning a small neighborhood shop. Entering the story is our second protagonist, Lucy, a 15-year-old girl. She leads a miserable life near the port with her violent-tempered father. One day that Lucy attempts to temporarily escape the tense atmosphere of her home, she is surprised in her sadness by Cheng. Back home, she is late. A slight clumsiness in serving the meal is enough to make her father's blood boil. He savagely beats her. She leaves home for good, taking refuge in Cheng's store, who accepts her presence for the time being. One day when Cheng is momentarily out of the house, a client discovers that Lucy is hidden on the second floor. The customer notifies her father, who soon arrives at the store to get her. Moments later, Cheng returns home and sees the result of the carnage. He is deeply affected. Back at the house, the father again beats Lucy with such violence that he ends up killing her. Cheng comes to her rescue, but is surprised by the father. The latter attempts to attack him, but Cheng kills him first. Cheng brings back Lucy's body to his house, and filled with grief, commits suicide and dies by her side. Having learned the meaning of true love, his mission is accomplished. For Broken Blossoms, Griffith has once again taken the risk of putting on the screen a story about racial differences. It was very daring for the time to show an interracial love story. The Chinese protagonist is interpreted by the very Chinese actor Richard Barthelmess. Yes, a century before #Hollywood whitewashing and #OscarsSoWhite. It was already the usual in Hollywood to hire white actors to play characters of any ethnic group. Let's recall Birth of a Nation. The film truly marks a change of direction in Griffith's filmography. Broken Blossoms contrasts tremendously with his previous productions. First, its production scale is extremely minimized. Although the story is rather intimate, Griffith manages to add an intensity comparable to its epic productions, particularly in the famous scene of the attack against Lucy. Even though the film is confined to a small number of settings and characters, the issues still do not become that much smaller, but rather internalized. The violence to the individual is felt, the motivations and internal conflicts of the protagonists are unveiled with a surprising sensibility. The psychology of a character can be revealed by a single sentence, said at a very specific time. For example, a certain irony strikes Cheng Huan when he learns that a missionary leaves for China to convert its inhabitants. Cheng wishes him good luck. This simple sentence in its context, which is the risk that the missionary changes in a way the essence of his native land, immediately reveals that the character has a huge respect for the motivations and ideologies of others. This is why the moment when he kills the father has much more weight, specifically because from the very first scenes of the film, he shows a clear respect towards other human beings. The sets are admirably built, using miniatures to recreate sections of the port and streets of London in the Californian studios. There is a great attention to details which adds realism to the whole production. Also, the majority of scenes are shot inside, quite a change for Griffith who had an habit of filming outside. Completing its visual style, the lighting contributes to the often drab atmosphere of the streets. The sets give the impression of being confined, crushed in space. It encourages us to reach for the dilemmas inside the characters themselves, instead of within the action. To compare with the other films we've already seen, I find that the locations and the overall aesthetics of the film contribute to indicate the psychology and intimacy that characterize Broken Blossoms. With Griffith's other films, even though the motivations were quite clear, the characters' motivations often provoked social changes, exterior to themselves. Of course, we could apply that same argument to some scenes of Birth of a Nation or Intolerance, but it seems more recurrent in Broken Blossoms. 3 scenes caught my attention when I watched the film again. The first is this one. It appeared to me slightly new to Griffith, this way of constructing the scene by using the background. First, a wide shot. Lucy and Chung, set as the pillars of the frame. A tighter frame on Chung's look, followed by its object, Lucy, but in the background, blurry, a third character. Lucy and Chung are set apart by separate shots, 2 distinct spaces. Back to Lucy. The blurry character is still there, a menacing presence linked to her character. Then the menace is revealed, now present, immediate. The second scene is the boxing match, a wide shot to get a good idea of the action, reaction shots of the crowd to help the audience, us, knowing how to react. Of course, it's a technique that will be used quite often in Hollywood. You might have heard of that guy Rocky almost 60 years later. Back to the action, and the new point of view that adds dynamism in the editing, also allowing us to grasp the action at the same time of the reaction of the crowd. A real quick close-up of a hint of time, and finally back to the consequence of that shot, being the end of the round. The third one is the scene of the murder, a wide shot to see the mise-en-scène, an insert on the father's foot and the axe, revealing to us with this close-up an element still unknown to Chung. We anticipate the movements of the character, making us fear for the hero. But a twist. The fast cuts now add action to the tension. That's all for today, thanks a lot, I hope you liked it. If you have any suggestions or comments, be sure to write them in the comment section. Click on the button below to like the video, and of course click on the subscribe button to be notified every time I upload a new one. Or you can also follow the Facebook page, the link is in the description. I will be back for the 4th film on the list of masterpieces of cinema according to Mediafilm. I put the links in the description to the list on their website and on Mubi. Please like, subscribe and share. Next time, we leave the US to travel to Germany for an expressionist film, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari by Robert Wiene.